But let's start here. How many matches we got? Three? Is that right? Cody Rhodes
No.
versus Jacob Fatu. Women's tag champs Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. And then Randy Orton versus Trick Williams versus Damian Priest versus Sami Zayn. And of course, today just added
Yeah.
AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Maybe we should start there. Your thoughts? AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
It's got to be an AJ win because they're building AJ up at the moment for this huge stipulation match. So I think the result is a foregone conclusion. As we said before, I mean, these guys have such history. If it is the last time, can they recreate some?
By the way, just on that note, somebody said here that am I okay? That Gomez in the chat says Shinsuke posted on IG a pic of him and AJ in 2016 with the caption "Tomorrow, one last time." So that seems to confirm it. Yeah,
it does, and it feels like that. When you suggested earlier that they might do a rematch on TV, I wouldn't discount that because, you know, that's how they seem to be booking at the moment, particularly on SmackDown. But if it's the last time, they might pull out all the stops. We might get some nice nods to the past. You know, I feel like this is going to be cool. I'm up for this match.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, like especially since it's now confirmed that it's the last time. And for Nakamura, like I guess this is his chance to maybe throw in some New Japan references in there just as a way to like maybe pay tribute to like one of his more well-remembered New Japan wrestling matches. You know, because Tanahashi has done it so often with in this run towards his finish. So, I am curious. I think it's a wonderful addition to a card without any sort of build attached to it at all. One for the hardcores, I guess you could say, you know. And then, but I agree with you. I think AJ wins that one. Do you think it leads to anything further with Nakamura, or is he just a guy that just kind of floats around like this?
I think at the moment he's a guy who's floating around in a role that's there to try and build up other people at the moment. I don't see another big run for Shinsuke anyway. So it's actually kind of a useful role to have him in. He still gets a very good reaction from the crowd when that music hits. And he's still very competent, you know, for a guy who's closer to the end of his career than, you know, the beginning.
Well, he's waiting for Evil to come in so he can have that run, right?
So. I'm with you on that one. I still don't, but seeing is believing. And John floated it ages ago before the reporting started, you know, and I thought, gosh, did he know all along? But it feels like a strange move to me. But who am I?
Well, we've got Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking on Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. I think in ring, I'm not as excited for this one as I was for maybe Ripley and Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
But that said, I think Roxanne Perez has been excellent since she's been, you know, called up to Raw. She's had great chemistry with Rhea and Io. And I think Liv Morgan is doing really, really, really well right now as this sort of like character that's come back to the company. I think her presence has been incredible, and she really seems poised for like a major role for WrestleMania. She might even be, I think we discussed it on Monday, she might even be a front runner for Rumble, you know, winner. But do you think that there's a chance that there's a title switch here with the tag teams?
I think there's a chance. I wouldn't favor it if I had to put money on it. I think that Rhea and Io retain, but I could see it, and it could lead to some sort of storyline with they're sort of sowing. They always have, really, since the return of something between Roxanne and Liv. But I agree with you that Liv seems like a big project at the moment for them. So, you know, from Rumble onwards, I think they're going to be building her, and I think that might well not entail being a tag team champion. So,
yeah,
it's hard to say.
I see Rio still having like a lot of life left here, and especially like, you know, if they're going to be defending against Kiana, James, and Julia. Oh my, that'll be interesting though. Seeing like, you know, maybe like, you know, Io and Julia will be Ia if they ever team up, but Io and Julia will interact, and also Rhea and Julia will interact in that match. But I'm assuming the babyface team will win that one. And then I'm curious to see how Judgment Day loses, because I mean there has to be some evolution in this. Who really is playing whom story between Liv and Roxanne,
Yeah.
right? So the way that they lose will hopefully spell out maybe what Liv's direction might be, headed towards WrestleMania and the future of the Judgment Day, of course. But I think we're both predicting the Rio victory. Let's go up next. By the way, what is the main event? What would you main event the show with?
Probably Rhodes and Jacob. No. The four-way. I think the four-way, because I'm absolutely predicting a Sammy win, and I think that's going to be the finishing shot.
I agree with you. I mean, not that it necessarily means anything, but on WWE.com's preview, they do have Rhodes and Fatu as maybe the lead match. And maybe to an audience outside of Montreal, like Cody is still the top guy, right? So I could see them finishing with this one.
I'm just imagining the going off air moment, and for the Montreal crowd with Sammy, if my prediction is correct and he wins, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. But I wonder if like they care so much about that, like when they're talking about like a Peacock audience, I would certainly do it the way you do it. But anyway, for our purposes, let's talk about Fatu versus Cody Rhodes first.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, this, into how you book this, and in a continuation of somewhat of a character change for Cody. And I think it's been very subtle, especially for pro wrestling standards so far. Even tonight on SmackDown, the crowd were kind of laughing at the fact that Drew had put that poster on the bus. It's kind of, I think they're that just speaks to me somewhat of people being somewhat tired of the goody two-shoes Boy Scout, American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes presentation, which we've had more or less since he rejoined the company. So, how mean does he get in this match? And things like that. What tactics does he use, perhaps to win? I think all of that's going to be pretty interesting. But I absolutely don't rule out a Jacob Fatu win either. I think it's possible.
I think Cody wins. I mean, Cody at this point still seems, well, it's Mania season, so of course he's poised for something big, but they are teasing a continuation of the program with Drew McIntyre. So I see that happening. I, in fact, think there's a very good chance he's going to be revealed as the person who, I wonder if he'll actually be the person responsible for doing the Jacob Fatu attack. Or at least like will have contributed to it somehow. I wonder, but I don't think it'll be Drew. That seems just almost too obvious.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like it's very intriguing that they are doing, like, to me, very obviously testing the waters with Cody being a heel, and I think like putting him against a fan favorite like Jacob Fatu is exactly, to continue to explore that or tease that for the audience. So I'll be watching this match with sort of intriguing like attention to how much more heelish tendencies they exhibit out of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
For that reason, I think he should beat Jacob Fatu and maybe do it in a way that is somewhat uncharacteristic of his old persona.
I could see that, and my only alternative thought was he loses, and that somehow breaks his mind a little bit more, so that could also lead him down the heel path. But I think what you've outlined is more likely because it keeps Cody at the top of the card, and keeps him stronger, basically.
Yeah, I think we're truly getting to like a Homelander phase with Cody, and how that character breaks out of him. I think will make Cody a very interesting person heading to Mania. So that is our prediction for that match. And then our desired main event, we could say, our fatal four-way for the number one contendership at the Royal Rumble between Randy Orton, Damian Priest, Trick Williams, and Sami Zayn. What will you be? We're both calling Sami Zayn, right, to win?
Yes. And I'm also calling Trick Williams not to take the pin because he feels like a very important project to them at the moment.
So who does take the pin?
Randy doesn't feel like a candidate for that either, so that only leaves Damian Priest.
Zayn pins Priest. Yeah. I think Trick can take the pin. I don't think that really hurts Trick. You know, like he doesn't have to be like I don't sense him being promoted as a world title contender guy just yet. Like simply being here, I feel like is enough. But of the people who can afford the pin the most, yeah, maybe Priest is, cause. But then he just did all that with like Aleister Black and like like what are you gonna do with Priest? Like after like spending months with Black and having him win that ambulance match, you just gonna have him lose like that?
I don't think. I wonder if they really know. It's so interesting this point in the year, where you sometimes think they've got everything mapped out between January and WrestleMania, and to some degree, I think they do for what Cody's going to be doing, for what Roman's going to be doing. I'm sure they've got a pretty clear idea of that. For what Damian Priest's going to be doing, I'm not so sure. However, I could go along with Trick taking the pin as well. And I'm only saying that now because I'm thinking back to tonight's episode of SmackDown and what seems to be next for him, which is Rey Fenix. So it's not like they're catapulting him right to the top. And that would get him a very convincing win back pretty soon. So that's a possibility too.
Okay. Yeah, I might go with Trick to take the pin from Sami Zayn here, just because they've been building slightly Trick versus Sami as well. And I think getting the win over a heel probably, will do better for this crowd. They're going to protect Orton, and I could see them protecting Priest as well. But yeah, I'm going with Sami. There's no way Orton will win. But Montreal loves Randy Orton, as you saw tonight. So I don't think they would completely shit on it. But
I don't think they shit on it. I don't think. I think Orton's pretty popular everywhere, including Saudi Arabia. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. But I still feel Sami wins this match and goes to the Rumble for the title.
So let's talk about this. Hansi in the chat says Sami is probably winning the Rumble. Sami is not facing Drew this early, so that of course would predict Sami losing tomorrow's match, and then going on to win the Rumble match itself. What do you think?
It's possible. And I wonder about him pulling double duty, going into the Rumble and winning it.
Why would he pull double? He wouldn't pull double duty necessarily.
Oh, of course, if he would, this would mean he loses.
Yeah, of course he can also face Drew, lose, and then win the Rumble as well. But that almost feels like, well, it's possible. It's possible. I don't know if I see Sami Zayn in a title match at the Rumble. I don't know if I see them looking at him like that sort of guy. If anything, I could see it next year for Saudi Arabia, but in Vegas, I don't necessarily see them doing that for him, or with him, I should say. But those are all possibilities. Yeah,
they are. I like the fact that it's not completely predictable.
Yeah.
When Drew became champion, my thought was he's transitional. Mm-hmm. He's holding the belt because they're going to Saudi Arabia, and they're going to do it. They're going to pull the trigger on Sami. That was my thought, and that was my initial thought. So that would mean he wins tomorrow night. That would mean he wins against Drew, and he takes the title. But then what do you do? And that's where it all breaks down for me, because it's, this is kind of their top title in the entire company. For the sake of one night in Saudi Arabia, do you do this? And what do you do between the end of January and Mania? Not so clear to me. So
January is your month to beat the price increase at the Post Wrestling Cafe. Before our regular tier jumps to $8, you have a chance to lock in the old existing price for all of 2026, but you've got to do it before February 1st. Also this month, we kick off our WWE Unreal Season 2 reviews with weekly releases covering each and every episode. We'll also be looking back at the Okada-Tanahashi feud dating back to 2012 with some of their most famous matches. Plus, Chris Jericho's A Lion's Tale will be the subject of this month's book club. All that and more is yours at postwrestlingcafe.com.